Hallo iedereen, welkom bij Dutch&Go. Today we're going to talk about dictionaries. How to use them, why to use them. This is a follow-up video on a previous video that I made of Google Translate and why you should definitely never ever use Google Translate. Be sure to keep watching because at the end of the video I'll also reveal a very cool tip for a little bit more advanced students and a good dictionary for them. So, dictionaries and how to use them and why to use them. So in the previous video I talked about Google Translate and why you should never ever use Google Translate. However, here at Dutch&Go we believe in positivity and positive encouragement and reinforcement. So that's why I also decided to explain to you how to use the alternative, which is a dictionary. Yes, a good old-fashioned dictionary. If you're a beginner to intermediate A1 to A2 student, I would recommend that you get a simple translation dictionary from Dutch to your language and then from the language to Dutch, basically. Some good translation dictionaries are the ones made by Van Dalen. They're of course quite heavy, but they're very substantial and thorough. Which I like, and then a little bit more compact are Prisma dictionaries. You can buy them online or in bookstores, whatever, that's easy. However, what is not necessarily easy for a lot of students is how to use a dictionary and how to use it properly, because a lot of students don't know how to use it, and that's why they go back to Google Translate because, hey, it's easier. But actually, even though a dictionary can be a little bit more work to get in the beginning, by the end of it, as soon as you start to understand how it actually works, it will become so much more rewarding and so much more fulfilling, and will give you so much more independency when it comes to using it and then eventually also understanding the language. And it's basically a tool, and I'm just going to teach you how to use it properly. So first of all, when we're looking at a dictionary in Dutch, we need to take into account that there are several grammatical words. Okay, so I've made a list here for you. So some of these most common grammatical words are things like article, which in Dutch dictionary is translated as lidwoord, or noun, which is translated as zelfstandig naamwoord, adjective, which is translated as bijvoeglijk naamwoord, adverb, which is translated as bijwoord, verbs, translated as werkwoord, preposition, translated as voorzetsel, and pronouns, translated as voornaamwoord. And there we have several ones, so reflexive, wederkerig, personal, persoonlijk, possessive, bezittelijk. Okay? Honestly, I do think it's a little bit, stupid, or at least a little bit problematic that Dutch dictionaries and dictionaries in general are still using these sort of old Dutch translations of grammatical terms. I would prefer it if they were to use just an internationally acknowledged grammatical term. I mean, I don't think there's any point in wasting your time studying all of these grammatical words. But unfortunately, we don't live in such a perfect, wonderful world, so for now I'm afraid you'll just have to study these translations in order to use your dictionary properly. Why am I saying all of that? Because, well, the first step in order to use a dictionary correctly is to understand what kind of word you're dealing with. Whether what the word is that you want to look up, that you don't understand in the basic text, or the word that you want to translate, okay? Identifying that word is very crucial, because sometimes a word can be translated into different grammatical words depending on the context, and especially in Dutch. Let's look at some examples. Say that you want to look up a simple word like the word zijn, okay? Zijn has a lot of different grammatical words, and depending on that, translations. So for example, zijn can be translated as a werkwoord, in which case it would mean to be, okay? It can also be translated as a possessive pronoun, in which case it would be his. Finally, it could also be translated as a noun, in which case that would mean being or existence, as in het zijn. Okay? So make sure that you always check what kind of zijn you're dealing with, and by that I would advise you to look at the context. Another word, for example, is haar. Haar can be translated as a noun, in which case it would mean hair, what I have a lot of. Or it can also be translated as a possessive pronoun, in which case it would mean her. And then finally can also be translated as an object personal pronoun, in which case it would also mean her, but yeah, not possessive. Another final example would be a word like leven, which can be translated as a noun, in which case it would mean life, het leven, or it can be translated as a verb, to live. Okay? So depending on what the grammatical function of the word is, the translation will be different. So I would absolutely advise you to make sure to double check what it is exactly that you're looking for whenever looking up a translation of a word. Also, a general tip, whenever looking up a verb, check it in the infinitive form, or whenever looking up a substantive, check it in the singular form. You could also, of course, use the Vandalen online function, which is for free at vandalen.be. And there you'll have a free online version of dictionary, which is not as complete as the print version or even the sold online version that they have. But either way, I think it will be helpful for you to understand how these dictionaries work. And as a final study tip for more advanced A2 to B1 to even B2 students, I want to talk to you shortly about a dictionary, which is this one. It's also published by Vandalen. It's called Nederlands als tweede taal NT2, so it's basically a dictionary made for students like yourself, in which they give simplified definitions of the words. So this dictionary is super easy to use. It's of course not recommendable for basic level A1 students, because you basically don't have enough vocabulary to really understand the definitions. But for A2 to B1 students, this dictionary is perfect. However, in print, this one is of course a little bit more limited, because you can basically only look up the words and then check the definitions and check an exemplary phrase. However, I'm a big fan of the online version, which I'll be posting a link to in the blog below this YouTube video. And what are the advantages of the online version? Well, basically a lot. You can check whether a word is with de or with het, which I know everybody loves so much. Yay. You can check, of course, the definition. You can check various simplified examples of each word. You can hear the pronunciation of each word in both Flemish and in Dutch. You can hear it in both official standardized variations of the language. So, I mean, oh my god, how cool is that? So it's really, really great as a study tool, and I would not only recommend it, I would actually oblige you to use it, because it is an absolutely essential, crucial study tool that will help you move forward so much. Also, it will help you a little bit to see the different ways in which you can describe words, which is something that I do a lot with my students. Once you get to an A2 to B1 level, I make them describe words for me, what certain words mean in Dutch. And yeah, this dictionary is also very good in helping you with that, because you basically see how it's done without making it too complicated or indeed archaic, as would be the case in this way more traditional Vandalen dictionary, which is Dutch, but yeah, the definitions of course are a little bit more archaic. So in short, dinosaur, old dinosaur, and this hip little monkey. There you go. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video is helpful. Check out my blog for an even more in-depth analysis on how to use a dictionary. If you have any questions, please write it in the comment section down below. Give a like if you like, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This was Dutch&Go. Dictionaries yes, Google Translate no!